It's Sunday, March 27th, 2022. Noon. This is infrared. And we're walking through the Theater District and Hell's Kitchen, so you won't have to. We're at the corner of 42nd and 8th Avenue. We're walking north on 8th Avenue. Of course, you can get to 42nd Street and as many trains as this shows in large and small logos. It's still missing the newly added free transfer to the BDF&M. Again, walking north on 8th Avenue, starting at 42nd Street, across the street from Port Authority. Showing some new subway ventilation grates being installed, replacing these that were installed in the 30s. (43rd Street), looking east towards Times Square. An old Con Edison manhole cover. Most of them have been replaced by one with the current Con Edison logo. And by current, I mean the last 20 years. (44th Street). Some theater marquee with a picture of a mask on it. Don't know anything about that. Top View tour bus. Is it safe to cross? Maybe. So again, it's noon on a Sunday. Matinees start at 2, I think. So what are these people lining up for? Okay, well. So there we see in the distance a billboard for boys. Maybe that's the off-Broadway version of Jersey Boys. (45th). All right, let's cross. Again, looking towards Times Square, and the theater is on 45th Street. The driver's from Jersey. What do you want?
That's way more effort than I would have.
of the neighborhood to the west get the name Hell's Kitchen? That'll be a rhetorical question for now. Again, it's March 27th, 2022. I guess recreational cannabis has been legalized for street sales. Here's a timestamp. Sorry. Heading west, briefly. Another weed truck. There are people who also refer to Hell's Kitchen as Clinton. That's it.
If we walked for that same amount of time, I don't think my legs would.
50th Street Station, where the C and the E are on different levels. (49th Street), the Ambassador Theater, where Chicago's playing, is in the back, and in back of that is a branch of Juniors. Junior's Cheesecake started at Junior's Restaurant at DeKalb and Flatbush in downtown Brooklyn. They became famous for their cheesecake in the early 70s when I think it was New York Magazine rated it #1. Now, I read in the last year, all the cheesecakes are baked in a large Junior's factory in New Jersey. and shipped each day to the individual retail locations and restaurants. Legacy MTA logo that I think disappeared in 1990. So, logo's up to date. Let's go west. Let's go down a side street. How about 51st? This is a cute roadway restaurant structure. Trolley car. Dining car. Very nice. As I said before, it's in the low 40s right now. That's okay because it feels like it's in the 30s. Walking west. Well, I'm going to cross the street for a second because something caught my eye. Perhaps I've never walked down this block before. But I certainly don't recall this sign. Very encouraging. What do you call this? Fire escape town? I was going to say that combines a fire escape with a nice balcony, but the center of each floor's quote balcony is hollow. I guess you can fall through if the fire escape is too congested. This is looking north on 9th Avenue. and looking south. And in the distance, possibly you can see overpasses crossing 9th Avenue, where at 51st Street, those overpasses would be somewhere between 42nd and 40th Streets. Those are ramps leading to and from, or I should say between, the Port Authority bus terminal and the Lincoln Tunnel. So buses have their own access ramps to the Lincoln Tunnel. We want to keep walking west on 51st Street. 9th Avenue is a place to explore separately. A lot of restaurants on 9th Avenue between 42nd Street, actually starting in the high 30s. And going all the way up to the 50s. Then it turns into Columbus Avenue. Restaurants galore. Don't know what this building is. It looks very Art Deco-y. Oh, Verizon. I was going to question whether it was some kind of utility building because of the second floor there has almost no windows, and where you would expect windows, there are ventilation shafts or vents instead. But it's a very nicely maintained facade, and there appears to be some work taking place inside the building. There are building permits posted. Hey kids, St. Patrick's Day was 2 weeks ago. All right, 10 days. Reference point for future stop. We're just walking south on 10th Avenue for a bit. All right, a short bit. Across the street. I neglected to show 10th Avenue. Sorry about that. Avenue looking north. Looking south. Glad we went back. It's very windy right now. Again, we're on 51st Street between 10th and 11th Avenues. In a walk-through Hell's Kitchen. Let's cross the street again. I don't think I was aware of this mobile station here. So it's March 27th, 2022, Sunday. About 12:24, and here prices at this full service mobile station start at $5.89 for regular. We're now walking south on 11th Avenue. Okay. And just to show you that the Hell's Kitchen name is real, I didn't make it. I don't think this was here a few years ago either. Right, we're at West 50th Street. Let's just quickly take a look up here. No, not what I'm looking for. However, a couple things look interesting. This building, an old wooden but presumably still functioning water tower on top. And this is probably a Con Ed substation. 11th Avenue, looking north, looking south. On this part of 11th Avenue begins an automobile row of sorts that extends down to the 20s when I walked through it. Beginning with this Toyota Lexus dealer. And just across the street, so spacious lots in front of New York auto dealers. This Toyota building, you can maybe see through the glass front. It's full of ramps because some of the cars being shown are stored on upper levels. Street level showroom. All right, let's see what a Hell's Kitchen Cadillac dealer looks like. Now, this is something I've personally wanted to know for years. It looks like the building across the street is being prepared to be another auto dealership or showroom. Right. It functions as an inspection station besides being a showroom and dealership. And then the building across the street that's being prepared presumably as an auto dealership 2 call aheads inside. I think those are only for the construction period. Let's take a little detour here. This building is intriguing. It looks old at the base and then more modern the higher you go. Sorry, I can't describe it in more precise architectural terms. To this new high-rise, new or newish. And then the building across the street, and a recent extension. Welcome. Oh, Sullivan Street Bakery. I used to frequent that when it was located on Sullivan Street in the village. Have to make note of that and return here. They make really good square pizzas with toppings like potato, just herbs. And this coffee shop is called the Jolly Goat. Connection to be explored at another time. The cave. Back on 10th Avenue. Walking south on 10th Avenue. Hell's Kitchen Dental. What is that? Medallions for sale. Must be a thriving business right now. Well, maybe a little more than in the last few years. I don't know if you just heard the sound of a diesel locomotive going by. Let's see where it's coming from.
Hi, Papa.
Now a commentary on Ted and Wins. The comments expressed are those of Rabbi Joseph Tastic of the New York World.
So this bridge-like structure is in fact a bridge over the now owned by Amtrak line that connects Albany train service on Amtrak's Empire Service Line to Penn Station. If any of you are familiar with the High Line, which was the subject of another walk, the High Line, a freight line serving the west side, the lower west side of Manhattan, going all the way down to the Meat Market area, continued up here in an open cut, but with bridges carrying the crosstown streets over it. So here you see 1 block south of us. I think we're on 48th Street now. I lost track. But there are bridges like this all along the road. The train we heard was an Amtrak train. Not sure why, but because there's not one scheduled to arrive or depart at Penn Station around this time. So this line was pretty much abandoned in the early 80s when freight service on the High Line was discontinued. And in the spring of 1991, when daylight savings advanced to the first Sunday in April from its former last Sunday in April, that is a time when Amtrak issues its timetables for the daylight savings season. And with that timetable change, with that daylight savings change, Amtrak rerouted its Albany service from Grand Central, where it had been since the 1800s, to Penn Station, where all of the rest of the Amtrak routes serving New York City, especially the Northeast Corridor between Washington, New York, and Boston, Salvation Army. Okay. So, what happened between the abandonment of freight service on that line we just looked at in the early 1980s and the introduction of Amtrak service from Albany to Penn Station in 1991? As part of a much earlier agreement to
create the West Side storage yards for the Long Island Railroad trains. The West Side storage yards going from 10th to 12th Avenue and 30, I don't remember, but 2 blocks north and south. And it's on those Long Island Railroad yards, which were opened, completed, and ribbon cut in October of 1987. But between 1983 and 1987, there was agreement that when the Long Island Railroad was constructing the West Side Yards as part of its 5-year capital program, that they would build a short new tunnel connecting tracks, I think 5 and 6 in Penn Station, maybe a couple more, to connect those tracks to the line that we just passed over. So it was a tunnel that curved northwest under a ramp that Long Island Railroad trains would use once the West Side storage yard was completed to move up basically one floor to one level to the storage yard level, which is at street level. In Penn Station, of course, the tracks are below ground. Not familiar with this bus. I do like their colors. So the tunnel, which enabled the Amtrak connection from Albany to Penn Station, was in shorthand referred to as the box. And then Amtrak and probably New York State paid for that below grade freight line, that former freight line that we walked over, which I think was only one track at the time, to be, although it was originally built as a 2-track line, to have 2 tracks upgraded for Amtrak speeds in the city that really aren't that high anyway. I don't know that the train gets above 45, 50 miles an hour while it's in the city. This is the West Side Highway. Otherwise known as, well, equivalent to 12th Avenue. And we can wait to cross here at grade level, or we can take a pedestrian bridge if we can find an entrance. So the Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum is responsible for this lot and this pedestrian ramp and stairway. There is both a stairway and a ramp. It's the stairway. But let's take the ramp. there's some happy visitors to the Intrepid. So, looking in the distance, the approximately 10-story tall towers that are kind of a reddish-brown brick is a ventilation shaft or shafts for the Lincoln Tunnel. There is a similar structure on the New Jersey side, I think. So we're going to cross the street and get a look at the Intrepid, but let's also use this opportunity to see not the formerly, well, open 24 hours, but not now. This ship, this very large ship, let's explore it a little more closely. It says it's the Norwegian Getaway, and on the smokestack NCL, Norwegian Cruise Lines. All right. How close can we get? I'm going to find out so you don't have to. And again, West Side Highway, looking south. West Side Highway looking north. By the way, the West Side Highway was originally built in the 20s or 30s as an elevated highway. It looked a lot like an elevated train line, not like a more expressway. And so it was elevated here and elevated all the way down to the Battery at the southern tip of Manhattan. But in approximately 1973, a truck, which I don't think was supposed to be on the elevated highway in the first place, because I think it was limited to passenger cars, a truck fell through the pavement, and that was the last time that the elevated West Side Highway was in service. So, but it was replaced after years of litigation with this surface level highway, which on a evening rush hour gets very congested. All right, here is group and school entry to the Intrepid. Another view of the Norwegian Getaway. Let's go back down to street level. And then this combination of bike and pedestrian paths is part of Hudson River Park, which has been built and upgraded in stages for about 30 years now, and does stretch all the way from the Battery to Riverside Park. That's 72nd Street. We're going to have to pause
for a minute for a safety item. Thank you for your patience. That important safety item was needing to tie my left shoe. Let's take a look at the bridge we just crossed, the pedestrian bridge, the Intrepid pedestrian bridge, and the Intrepid. As we said earlier, this is the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. And there's a lot of square footage to explore. So, and beginning to come into view. This was an aircraft carrier in its day, and there are many types of aircraft displayed on the landing deck / runway. Including, what's that kind of domed aircraft? Some stealth. I forgot the nickname for it. All right, another safety pause. Sorry, folks. I'm learning with this new pair of shoes. I'm going to have to double knot them. Again, thank you for that important safety stop. So it's about 1 o'clock, Sunday afternoon, March 27th, 2022. Let's take a look.
Very, very young. Tommy was like... I don't remember.
We've seen the Intrepid. We've seen the aircraft, sort of. And if you can see a few people descending the stairs or stepping out onto the deck, you get a pretty good sense of the scale of this ship. At least I hope you do. Again, the pedestrian bridge that we crossed to get to the Intrepid. And the Norwegian Getaway. So, just for future reference, if you're considering a visit, here's the price chart. Seniors get a whole $2 off. All right. It's like 7%. As part of the Intrepid Museum, there is a Concorde in the back. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
right. Here's a ramp leading down from the passenger ship terminal. You can get a sense, well, first, let me just explain this. 86 that. Ooh, and a submarine. Nice. Hope that's part of the exhibit. But a ship could also dock on this side, and you can see the glass enclosed ramps that I guess are the equivalent of a jetway for the ships that dock here. So with winter being over, the cruise season has started again. Bollards to keep misguided cars from entering here. Looks like a nice water park on top. I forgot to explain before. The pier numbering system, that's Pier 88, and we're at 48th Street. So, good rule of thumb, if you want to know where a certain pier is, subtract 40 from the pier number. Pier 88, 48th Street. Write it down. Right. Let's see. Do want to point out the painted side of the ship. The bow. Okay. Just noting the name of this building, the Glass House. The sign below saying stone throwing prohibited. I guess it was really people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Just looking down 49th Street, and That's the tower, the top of Worldwide Plaza, which goes from 49th to 50th and from 8th to 9th Avenue. All right, here, a bunch of Academy buses bringing passengers to or from this ship. Okay, let's see. Getaway. Don't know what this windowless building is. It could be a substation. Right. Let's get a better look. Whoops. And one last look. Shut up. Okay. What is musical? It was supposed to be Music Man, but they ran out of letters. And of course, across from the Manhattan Cruise Terminal, what would you expect to find other than the Hustler Club? Larry Flint's Hustler Club. Preservationists were concerned that when Larry Flint and the Hustler Club took over this site, that they weren't going to preserve the classic architecture on the third floor of this building. But lo and behold, they did. They treated it with the respect that it's due. Okay, a bike route to the east side. And across the street is DeWitt Clinton Park. You know what? I don't think I was supposed to do that. That wasn't even a crosswalk. Please don't do that at home. Okay, so I've never ever been in DeWitt Clinton Park before. We're at West 52nd Street and 12th Avenue. Alright, let's make the loop here. Oh, and this is cute. Because, after all, when you're just arriving on an international cruise ship, what's the first thing you want for you and your young kids is to take them to a playground like this. More than a playground, a restroom, I think. Oh, and of course, given the earlier part of our walk, a Mercedes-Benz dealership across 11th Avenue from the park. All right, so this is a comfort station. Okay, and more artificial animals here. So good. And that was our look at DeWitt Clinton Park. Handball courts? Yes, handball. This is the Mercedes showroom. Well, that's the kind of car I've been looking for. Oh, it's not just Mercedes. Rolls Royce. This must be for a Mercedes taxi. Oh, it's a Maserati. Even better, a Maserati cab. Okay. This is the Greenway. Here we have, a salt shed for the Department of Sanitation. This salt shed was recently constructed with salt piles serving this area of Manhattan. Used to be on the riverfront across the highway. So there has, for as long as I can remember, been a sanitation garage here. And it actually spans 2 blocks. And the original building, from the exterior at least, from the outside, looked like it's configured similarly to this, with spanning 56th Street and all. This replacement was built in the aughts, but I don't remember exactly when. You can get a sense from here how deep this garage is. You're not going to see a lot of activity around here today because it's Sunday and there are very few Department of Sanitation operations on Sunday. So the Great Pyramid of the West Side. So this is 57th Street, looking towards 11th Avenue. And on this block, decades ago, was a taxi garage, 57th Street Management Corporation, which provided the exterior and I think the interior set for the taxi garage in the movie Taxi Driver. Last look at the sanitation garage. And then we got the Henry Hudson Parkway. So the West Side Highway, if you continue straight ahead, becomes the Henry Hudson Parkway. A weight limit of 22 tons. No Ford Expeditions allowed. We are now at the corner of 58th and 12th Avenue, West Side Highway. There's no street sign here. So, what is this nondescript building here? Well, it becomes a little more descript as we walk east on 58th Street. You can see now that this part on the left was an addition to the much larger building on the right, which takes up the entire rest of the block. But what is this building? The arches over the windows and the capitals, the eagles. Still not clear what this building is. By the way, I really do know what this building is. I'm just trying to build some suspense. Let's briefly turn our attention to this side of the street, because in contrast to the building across the street, this one is much more recent. Okay. Oh, and straight ahead, a unit of HSS, the Hospital for Special Surgery. I haven't seen this particular building before, or the one behind it. But there's a work of art on the side of this building, so let's just take a look for a second.
back to this curious building across the street. So, this sculpture and its significance to the Hospital for Special Surgery. Yeah. And the sign was put up by the Durst organization. Okay. So that was a bronze statue installed in 2016. All right, so a little more about the building across the street. I guess now would be as good a time as any to show this other part of the building. This other significant part of the building. Oh, what is this? I think we're going to have to go to the front of the building on 11th Avenue. We have a BMW showroom here. We also, across the street, kitty corner to us, the red brick building with the satellite dishes on top is CBS Broadcast Center. I think they do the evening news from here. I don't really know. They used to do the evening news from there. I think they still do. So, also we have across the street part of the campus of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, part of the City University or CUNY system. So, here we have the front of the building. As you can see, it takes up the entire block from 58th to 59th. This is, and we saw the big smokestack. Oh, the pyramid. So, Interborough Rapid Transit Company, and note that Interborough, the U is a V. We'll see that elsewhere, at least one other place. The entrance to the subway under the municipal building, the arched entrance to the subway, is spelled Svidway. So, this Interborough Rapid Transit Company powerhouse has been here since at least 1904, and this provided the power for the original subway line, which ran from Brooklyn Bridge, I'm sorry, how could I? From City Hall to 145th Street and Broadway. And so the subway line itself, we're at 59th Street and 11th Avenue. The closest the subway comes to here is 59th Street, Columbus Circle. So 59th Street and 8th Avenue, which is almost a half mile from here. Anyway, this is the original powerhouse for the Interborough subway, dating back to 1904. It is now owned, I believe, and operated by Con Edison, the local electric utility. So, this is an appropriate place to end. We're ending with the beginning of the subway in 1904. So let's just get a look here at these new buildings. And we're going to save these buildings and the ones that immediately follow for our next walk. Well, maybe not our next one, but one in the near future. This has been Infrared, and this is what you've been watching.